welcome to Furious Driving, and you join me today at the wheel of a Mark II Toyota MR2. Oh, this is going to be fun. Now, if you like reviews of interesting and unusual classic retro cars, then please do hit the like and subscribe buttons. This car is currently for sale at Stone Cold Classics at Rootham in Kent. Check out the link in the description to see more information. And let's get on with the review now. Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and today we're looking at one of the most dramatic changes from a Series 1 to a Series 2 model of car. Yes, it's the Mark II or W20 MR2. So although this follows the same guiding principles as the original AW11 from 1984, it's grown an awful lot. The original ran from, say, 1984 to 1990 when this replaced it, and it was conceived as the ultimate small, nimble, fast, fun, affordable sports car. The MR2 in fact stands for midship runabout two-seater, and the idea is you've got your mid-engine layout for ultimate handling, 2 seats so just 2 people can enjoy it, and it's fun and it's small and it's just about practical enough to use every day if you need to. But if there's any criticism to level at that original car, and there aren't really that many apart from the rust, is the fact it was too small. It was just too small. They went too far on the compactness, which meant that it was a little bit awkward to use and some people found it a bit tight in the cabin. So it grew. It's longer, wider and heavier, but that means it's a more grown-up car, and it's also far more swoopy and curvaceous. The other one was just all angles and edges. It was one of the most 1980s looking cars ever devised. It was pure edge-tasticness. One thing that does remain though is the pop-up headlights. Pop-up headlights are the best feature on any car ever. I will not be taking questions on this. And this car retained it. Sadly, the Mark III came out in 2000, by which point this kind of stuff had been outlawed by the fun police, and so we couldn't have pop-up headlights anymore. So looking in the front of the car, we will not find an engine. We will actually find just a spare wheel and a fairly small amount of stowage space. Interestingly, the Mark I, although being such a smaller car, actually had a little bit more space, I seem to remember, from having owned one for a couple of years, in the front of the car. Your frunk or fruit, depending if you're British or American, was a tiny bit more practical on the original car. Or did someone steal my spare wheel? I can't remember. But under here we've got the spare wheel, we've got top up for various fluids, our fuse box, a strut brace from the factory. And under the front, we've got the radiator. One of the few problems you'll find with these cars, being a Toyota, nothing really goes wrong, though, is that there are coolant pipes that run the length of the car from the engine to the radiator down the front, so that is one of the few areas that can go wrong. Now, if one was seeking the engine, one would not lift this panel here, because that is the actual boot. We'll come back to that in a second. One would raise this panel here, and here we would find the engine. Engine-y. So if you want a couple of specifics, this is a Toyota inline-4 3SGE engine unit, 2 litres, and in the European GTI 16 spec, that makes 156 horsepower, which may not sound massive by today's standards, but by mid-1990s standards was on a par, if not better, than most of its 2-litre rivals, and plenty enough power to just put you on the right side of having fun but staying out of trouble. Now, unlike the AW11, the Mark I, there's actually quite a lot of space in here. One little notable thing is the place to put the bonnet strut is so hard to find, they've had to put a little tag on it so you can work out where to prop it. Actual luggage space here behind the engine isn't huge, but isn't terrible either. You'd certainly get a couple of weekend bags away in there, or a week's shopping. You'd struggle going to the airport for a proper fortnight away though, get the suitcase in the back of this thing. But one thing about having the boot here and the engine there is, of course, every time you want to reach the engine to do anything, you've got to reach over the spoiler to reach it, or going over the sides, over these big flying buttresses. Now, climbing in, everything is very flush. You'll notice we have got the air intakes for the engine down the side of the car, and as I say, these big flying buttresses like a Jag XJS, which the Mark I had as well. Of course, that one had the clear perspex thing with the reverse Toyota in it to see the correct way in your mirror. But the big deal here, apart from the pop-up headlights, frameless door glass, which is a lovely touch, and it's tinted blue to match the car. So getting past those lovely blue tinted windows, we have got this amazing grooved velour fabric in the door cards, which is continued on the seat cushions themselves. Very comfy and squashy seats. For a sports car, this is proper comfort spec, interestingly. In the door, as well as that, we have got the big, this is proper part spin Toyota stuff, from the big buttons, electric mirrors, central locking, window lock, which always baffles me on a 2-door car. auto down on the driver's side, not on the passenger side, and a nice little scoop for pulling the door to, and a lovely semi-padded armrest there. Down the bottom, bit of carpet, a little bit of pocketage, and a speaker with these swirly, hypnotic speaker grille. Let's have a quick look behind the seats before we climb in, because behind the seats there is a tiny weeny bit of storage here in the floor. Need the ignition key to get into that, because that is secure lockable storage. So not a huge amount of space, but you can put your valuables. You're just ahead of the mobile phone curve, so while someone's car was second hand, someone to stash your wallet and phone. We've also got a cubby hole here, ideal for cassettes and CDs, and another cubby hole up top here, so we've got cubbies aplenty. Oh, and if you're wondering where to hang your curry on the way back from the takeaway, these little hooks on either side can be used for that. Alternatively, you can hang a coat on, I suppose, if you want to go that route. This is one of the bluest interiors I think I've ever seen. Everything is blue. The car continues from blue to the outside, blue to the inside, blue doorstep, blue handles on the seat, blue everything, even blue floor mats. Down here we have got the usual Toyota/Honda/ tags for the fuel and for the boot. If you're wondering how to get into the engine bay, you need to move the seat again, and it's just down there. On the inside of that, concealed cunningly, is your bonnet pull. Let's climb in and have a look at the dashboard. So here we have very swoopy design. Excellent large flat T-shelf area here, so we can have our snacks and break time trinkets on here, although there is no edge to this area here, so any spillages will be straight on your passenger's knees, so be aware of that. In the centre we've got a little digital clock, super cute. Above a couple of air vents, radio. We do actually have the original radio down here, which I know it's not as practical and usable as whatever the modern item is just there. There's a face for that in the door pocket. I do think that looks so very, very cool indeed. This could be refitted. Oh, I love the little LCD on it. Now, because there were other options for audio stuff, this could be all kinds of other stuff, even just a place to put your phone in. And that sits above our ventilation, push button ventilation, which is very cool, and a graphic equalizer style slider for temperature. No air conditioning because, well, it's the early 90s, so you don't get that kind of stuff. And that's behind, oh, sweetie wrapper tray, and weirdly placed, to go with that, the lighter socket is concealed, very well concealed, behind the steering wheel and the stalks. So yeah, usefully out of the way to plug in your phone. If you want to plug in your 12-volt socket for your phone, it's going to be bashing on the wipers. Now, glancing up at the instrument binnacle, which I say is all lovely and curved and swoopy and very appealing indeed. We've got a fuel gauge on the left, which is permanently on, showing half a tank. That's probably worth more than the car. Our battery indicator, interesting addition in the centre there, and engine water temperature on the right hand side. We have got a rev counter going around to 7,000 RPM red line, carrying on to 9,000 RPM if you're feeling really brave. On the left hand side, our speedometer up to 160 mph, but more impressively than that, check out the mileage on this car. It's 12,410 miles. I feel bad driving this. It's astonishing how low this has been driven. We have a couple of small panels for indicator lights beyond that, but that's kind of it. Oh, and a red flashing light for security, because an alarm was a big deal on this car at this point. Also a big deal for us right now is the fact on the left hand side we have got our wipers. Oh, and behind that a control for tilting the steering wheel itself. On the right hand side is where we'll find our indicators and our lights with controls for the pop-upness of them, because Japanese, of course. Below that we've got an adjustment for the brightness of the dashboard, the angle of the headlamp if you've got a load in the boot, and our front and rear fog lights. Final test is the horn test. Wow, super parpy. That's a mega parp. Impressively parpy. Moving back into the centre binnacle, it's interesting. There's no big transmission for this transmission tunnel to contain, because it's all behind us in the back. Yet there is the biggest transmission tunnel you've ever seen. It comes up to my rib cage basically, and yeah, it's nicely soft touch plastic on top. 5-speed gearbox with the leather gear knob, which feels super good, and a huge handbrake, which really is surprisingly large. I will give one more mention to these seats because they are absolutely splendid. They are bucket seats, properly sporty spec bucket seats, but they've got velour corduroy, with a flecked blue pattern. There's so much detail going on there, it's quite magnificent. And this is just so soft and spongy and comfy. It is wow, what a place to be. You could happily spend all day in here. I'd have this in my house, it's so comfy. And from this angle here, we can see the lovely swooping style of that passenger door. And above us, we have got a pop-up head sunroof, which I won't. Oh, can I open? Yes, I can. A pop-up sunroof. There is also the T-top convertible or semi-convertible option on these cars. This is the better one to take because they don't leak. Now, setting off in the Mark II W20 MR2. Now, the thing you notice about this car is just how kind of sturdy and refined the thing feels. If you're familiar with the Mark I, then you will be familiar with it's not rattly at all. It's Toyota. Those things don't rattle. It just feels more grown up. The suspension feels a little bit softer and more pliant, and the noise is just hushed a little bit more. You've always got that little rumble of engine sound behind you, which is quite fun. Now, this version, the Mark II, was 159 to 181 kilos heavier than the original Mark I car. But that's not just in the form of stodge, that is all over the car. It feels stiffer and tighter. Everything about the thing feels more sturdy and grown up, frankly. Now, this is a properly connected mechanical car. You do feel like you're driving the car. It's not aided electronically by really very much at all. There's no power steering either, so your inputs are natural and perfect. It's a little bit heavy at low speed, but when you are on the road, because there's no weight on the front of the thing, it's just light and nimble and just so perfectly connected. In terms of braking, it's nice and powerful. There's not a huge amount of feel from the pedal, but you do stop very rapidly indeed. Now, they called this car the poor man's Ferrari because basically it looked like a baby Ferrari 308. It meant you could have a lot of the looks and a lot of the performance and certainly most of the feel of driving a car like that, but at a fraction of the cost. Honestly, would I have a Ferrari over this? All the maintenance, headaches, the insurance, the worry about getting a nick or a scratch in it compared to, just an MR2. Honestly, I think I would have more fun with the Toyota. This is a nice car. The engine is a little bit gruff, but smooth enough to still feel like a refined, nice place to be. Now, calling this the poor man's 308 or the poor man's Ferrari isn't just hot air, it's not just marketing talk, because Toyota did involve a lot of racing drivers. Dan Gurney, I think, was one of the notable names who spent a lot of time in the development driving seat, just fine-tuning the chassis of this thing to make it as good as it could possibly be. By the end of the 1990s into the early noughties, by the time this car was an affordable second-hand car, it was the height of the max power generation. The tuning phenomenon was going on, and all the Japanese companies like Teen, Apache, my mind's gone blank, but there were dozens of them, they all had kits for these things, lowering them, body kits, the massive fiberglass kits that weighed an absolute ton, side skirts, exhausts. I remember seeing a number of these with massive dustbin lid sized turbos in the boot and ducting like it was some kind of industrial factory air duct going to the turbo. And these, even in stock form, these can take around 300 horsepower with tuning. They really are quite an impressive car. Nimble rear wheel drive chassis, mid-engine for perfect balance, impeccable Toyota reliability, and those lovely Ferrari coupe looks. I mean, really, what is not to love on a car like this? And so much feedback from the steering. There's almost too much feedback from the steering, in fact. Oh, a Unimog! Haha, those are great. So if the Mark I was pure 1980s-tastic at its finest, the Mark II really was the spirit of the 90s. Wow, someone's learning to drive in a Panda 100 HP. Good on you. The styling had evolved completely from the edgy square little box with angles to this far more swoopy, curvaceous. It really is pure 90s look and feel. It was a completely fresh, ground-up design that shares no components as far as I'm aware. The only thing it has carried over, which is identical to mine funnily enough, is the metallic blue exterior and the blue everything on the interior. Blue steering wheel, blue dash top, blue seats, blue carpet. It's very, very blue. Gear change is lovely. It's just so perfectly light with just a tiny bit of notchiness to let you know you're moving between the ratios. Oh, fantastic. It could not be nicer. Oh, this is so much fun. I definitely want to get hold of one of those things. It is great, absolutely brilliant fun. A lot of road noise, interestingly large amount of road noise. I don't know if this is because this road surface, which is absolutely terrible. Another thing making a lot of noise are the fans off, and you're feeling quite warm in here. Turn them on though. And even on the low setting, it's like a gale blowing in your face. It's like, whoa. And that's on low, it's not even first little bobble. Second little bobble, it sounds like you're in the Himalayas. Wow. That's a bit much, really. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this ride out in this lovely 12,500 mile Mark II MR2. It really is something very special indeed, and you know, I've not driven one in a long time, but I'm now reminded how good they really were. If you like your cars to feel utterly connected and totally focused, but at the same time being comfortable and usable, then this is definitely the car for you. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please do hit like and subscribe, and join us again next time driving something completely different.